Hi, so the purpose of this is to basically show people how we can help business owners with financial planning rather than just telling you. So at Modulus we work with quite a lot of business owners and the conversation always comes up, what do you want to do when you stop working and how are you going to get out of your business? So this is an example of just how we would start to plan if you were going to exit your business, and it's quite basic. Just I've pulled it through quite quickly so that it's quite easy to see, but everyone else's plan will be individual, different and more detailed than this. So what this kind of shows is this is the financial planning cash flow modeling software. So whenever you're discussing getting out of a business, you've kind of got your three main ways. So you sell it for a lump sum, you just close the doors, or you sell it and you kind of have an earn out, or you pass it on to family members or someone in it, and you continue to get you continue to get an income from it. So how do we actually model those ways? So this is just a financial plan. So this is showing someone today who is currently 44. They're the business owner of the business. They're married to a 41-year-old, and then they've got two kids, 16 and 12. And what this basically goes through is it shows their lifestyle. So how much life's going to cost them is roughly 60 grand a year, so 5 grand a month for the rest of their life. And on top of that, we are going to be hoping to spend another £20,000 whenever they first officially leave work and either sell or whatever it is, to enjoy retirement, just because they've got more time to go and do stuff and go and travel. So I've built in that basically that from the date they retire till age 80, they spend an additional 20 grand a year on holidays and stuff. And there's two other kind of lump sums I've just thrown in, is whenever they're going to give house deposits to kids. So they're currently working in a business, My Super Cool Business Limited, and he's taken 50 grand, which is split between £15,000 of salary and 35 grand of dividend. Then his wife is employed, not part of the business, employed. She's an accountant, and she's earning 40 grand a year. They've kind of got a little bit they've got 20 grand in a current account and 30 grand in an invested ISA, and they've just got two very small pensions. So his is worth 20,000 at the minute and hers is worth 5,000, to which they're contributing. So he's paying in £6,000 a year, so £500 a month out of his business. And she just has the basic auto enrolment contributions, which is 5% of her income and 3% by their company. And then they've got two full state pensions, and as well on top of their expenses is every 5 years, which is what these spikes is, they're buying a new car. So what this shows is each bar is a year of your life from current 44 and 41, and then we kill them off at 100. This black line is how much you actually need for living, and if the bar is blue, you can afford it. If it's red, you can't. And if the bar goes above the black line, you've earned more money than you needed. So very basically, just on a really simple, if they were going to run this lifestyle and work till age 68, whenever they're retiring, they could afford life in retirement for 3-4 years before they ran out of money. So what would they actually have to do if we were working on this, that they're just going to shut the doors completely, the business isn't sellable, shut the doors? What are they going to do? How much do they need to save until age 68 to be able to live this lifestyle? And what we would do is we would run a little scenario to see exactly what that is. So yeah, and it worked out at, hopefully this doesn't take too long, it works out that they have to save about 46,700 a year, which sounds quite a lot, but if you're running a business, chances are you could be paying lump sums into a pension, so it's maybe not actually as difficult as you would think, and you might even think it's quite achievable. But however, no one really wants to sit and plan to work to state pension age, which is 68. So what we do then is, let's say 55, that is the magic age. That is whenever these people want to get out of their business and stop working and start enjoying their life even more. So they've got much less time to work, They're now stopping at 55, and you can see they can only afford basically 2 years of retirement now, and then they've run out of money. This blue here is their state pensions kicking in, and if we ran the exact same scenario, how much do they need to save between now and now? Bear in mind they've now got 13 years less to save. It's going to be a much bigger number that they need to save each year. And it's a very big number. It's £176,000 a year basically, and that's because they've got 13 years less to save. They've got an additional 13 years of this spending with no income coming in, so that's why it's so high. So that's maybe not so achievable, but they do have a business. So what if they were to sell? What are they going to do then? So then we run a different insight. Lump sum savings. So this is how much of a lump sum do they need. Oh, sorry, we're in the wrong one. So this is how much of a lump sum do they need at the time they decide to sell their business. So there we go. And we find out, so this is effectively the lump sum that they need. Now bear in mind, if you're selling a business, there will be tax and stuff to pay, but this is kind of just to get started and start putting numbers to it, so we kind of have an idea what to aim for. So what they need to have in their pocket is 2.4 million to be able to afford this lifestyle if they're going to sell at age 55. And that just kind of gives them a number. We're 10 years away to at least start building for and aiming for, and it gives them kind of the track to run on. So, and then finally, once we've kind of got to this number of what they want, of the 2.4 million, we then start kind of planning and seeing what are the real chances of this running out of money here. And everyone knows life changes all the time. So we can kind of go one step further then, and then start using a slightly different model. And what we have here is basically what we're planning out is if you have a lump sum invested. So if they got 2.4 million, by the time they've paid tax and they've maybe done some things, we might decide, you know what, let's invest 1.5 million of it. So this then takes us into real world examples using data from basically the last 100 years, and just kind of runs it and looks at, if we invest on this day, on that day, on that day, what would your investment look like and what are the chances of you running out of money. So what this graph shows is if we invested 1.5 million, and if I show you the detailed view, what this shows is every little line that you see here is an investment journey that could have taken based on when it was invested over the last 100 years of history. So it's quite a mess, so I'll turn it off again. But basically the key here is the red, green and blue line. So the red is if you were the 15th percentile, so not good, kind of getting to the worst kind of chances that it's ever going to happen. Green is the average, so what we can expect on average, and then blue is if it just took off and you had the great, one of the best times you possibly could have. So kind of what we're aiming for, what we're looking at is how close and how early the red line gets to the bottom and runs out versus the green line and how close it gets to run out kind of at age 100. And this just shows us what the actual chances of actually running out of money if it was invested is. And you can see if I start playing about with how much we invested, so if I said, someone decided actually I don't want to invest 1.5 million, I wanted to invest 1.25 million, you can see they ran out much quicker. And basically that would have just meant their financial plan would fail if they ran out much quicker based on all the same assumptions we kind of had before. And similarly, if they've said actually we're going to invest 1.75 million because we want to leave something behind to give to kids or whatever it is, that the mean kind of is going up and we have quite a lot left over. So in a nutshell, that's just kind of an idea of how we start the planning process and how we start thinking about it. Everyone's situation is going to be different. It's going to be much more complicated than what I've done for this, but this just shows you that we can kind of start with the really high level planning and figure out how it's going to work, and then once we've kind of got closer to a number and decided where we're at, we can then start looking at is the real life chance of this money then actually lasting. So hopefully that's been beneficial, and yeah, if you've any more questions, please do give us a shout. Speak soon. Bye bye.